Okay, today what we're going to do is plant this cauliflower, this snowball cauliflower. And what we've done is planted them right in here. Now this is going to go out in the south greenhouse, and hopefully we'll grow these year round. It's October right now, so we'll see if they'll grow through the winter. Okay, now looky here. We have got some of these cauliflower plants sprouting now. Not all of them, but there's a few that are coming up now. Given another week, these will be big enough to transplant out in the south greenhouse, and maybe maybe there'll be enough there for harvesting later on. Okay, let's check in on my cauliflower. Oh, look at that. Boy, those are doing great. There's a whole bunch of them coming up there. Let's see. This is the only one. Well, there's two. There's this one and this one. And those are the only ones that I don't see evidence that there's germination going on. But it still might happen, but still not too bad. I've got a lot of these, so we'll let those grow up a little more before we put them out in the greenhouse and have them grow. Well, as you can see here, the snowball cauliflower that I planted here in this little pie tin, they're sprouting and they're doing quite well. Let me bring that up a little closer. So today what I've got to do is transplant those into some bigger flower pots. Now what I'm going to do at first is just put them in here. These are, well, let me show you one here that I've got. Yeah, these are this size of a flower pot, and I guess these are a peat kind of material. The reason I'm using these is because this is just a first transplant, and these will get bigger here. And then when I transplant them outside into a much bigger pot, the roots can grow right through them, so you don't need to actually take the plant out of the pot and transplant it and be so rough on it. So that's why I'm going to use these. The way I'm going to do this is, I think I've shown you this before, but the idea here is to take one of these. As you can see, there's there's like 6 or 8 plants in there, maybe more, and to basically soak this in and split it up into just a ball of mud, and then pull these cauliflower plants out of there, and then transplant them into the little pots that are soaked. Now, as you can see down here, I have some of those flower plots, those little peat pots, and they've been soaking in this. Well, there's a root there. They've been soaking in this water in this little lunchbox sized tray, and that's to get this soil all soft, very soft. Because what I'm going to do is basically, bore a hole in that with my finger or a pencil or something, and one by one take these out of here and separate them after I dunk them in this water here to separate the roots. And I'll show you that process, how it's done. It's really quite simple, but you have to be careful not to damage the roots here. Now, you may have seen me do this before. I think I've done this on another video, but basically what you do is you drop this in here and you tear off the outer. There's a little kind of a mesh cloth covering on these things to hold them together. So you put that in there, and then you just kind of squeeze it and tease it until everything comes apart. If you see, you get to the point where these roots come out. See, the plants come apart real easy. See that? There's a nice little plant. And these ought to transplant quite nicely because the roots really aren't damaged. They're separated from the soil they were in, so they might not like that too much. But the roots are all there. They're all intact. So if you put them in another transplant media where it's nice and soaked, they ought to do pretty well. Now, the transplant media I was talking about is these little flower pots that have been soaking. So the dirt in here, boy, there's some remnants of something in here. I'm not sure what they are, but So the dirt that's the soil that's in here is really soaked and really wet, and I'm poking my finger in here. Whoops, that one, I burst that one open. I'm poking my finger in here to make a little cavity to drop the cauliflower plants in. So like so. So here we go. So what we'll do is we'll take one of these, and as you can see, I poked a little hole here. I'm just going to drop that in there and kind of tuck it in really good, and then just kind of support it in there. And do the same here with this one, and kind of support it in there. And I think it's important to have water in here, and I have this quite soaked to help these transplants get a better start. That way it's not such a trauma to go from one flower pot or one, the little peat pot things to this. Because if this dirt was dry or drier, it'd probably be a lot harder on the plant. So, okay, so there they all are in these little containers, and the reason I've got the containers primarily is so that I can keep a water level in there, so that we can make sure that these little transplants, these sprouts, stay good and soaked and good and watered until they get a good start on their own. Then we'll put them in a bigger flower pot and grow them that way. Now, where I'm going to put them at the moment, because it is November now and it's very cold outside, and even the greenhouse I have isn't that warm, we're going to put them in here. Now, you've probably seen this before. I call this my telephone booth. I have two of these, and what they are basically is a structural frame that's got some reflective foil around it, and up here in the top there are a number of lights that are used to grow things, and it works quite well. As you can see right now, I've got some cucumber plants that are growing in there, and they're happy and having a good time. Now what I'm going to do here is take some of these here and just kind of put them on a corner over here, so that they're getting plenty of light, and I can easily access them to put a little more water in the container if I have to. Now let me get the other one. Put it in here. Okay, now, so there we go. They're under the lights, and we're going to let them grow a little bit. And right now, just so you know, it's about 60 degrees in here. This isn't it's underneath these lights. It's about 65. Let's see. I've got the thermometer here on the wall over here. This one says it's about 62. So it's not warm in here, but it's not really cold either. And since these are cauliflower, this should be a temperature that they like. So we'll let these sit for a while and grow under the lights, and hopefully they'll grow well, and we'll be able to transplant them into a bigger environment. Now I have another phone booth here that has nothing in it at the moment. So my intention is to take these when they grow a little bit bigger and put them in a little larger flower pots, and put them in the other phone booth, and let them grow in the house, in the basement, during the winter time, when it's just too cold outside for cauliflower, but maybe not too cold in the basement, where it'll be 60 degrees, 65 or something like that. And so cauliflower should do a lot better in here than it does outside right now in the greenhouse, where it regularly gets down to 35 degrees or even below freezing sometimes in the greenhouse. And cabbage or broccoli or cauliflower can tolerate that, but when it's that cold a lot, it doesn't grow very good. So anyway, that's what we're going to try to do. So we'll update you next time when these things are growing good, and we'll show you how we transplant them into another phone booth like this.